All right, welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk to you guys about Darrick Minner taking a dive against Shailon Nurbandeke. I have no proof that's what happened, but it's absolutely what I believe happened. I've convinced myself 100%, and I can't be convinced of otherwise. I don't like accusing people of shit I can't prove. I don't even like using the word robbery. I find myself reluctant to call any bad decision a robbery. I'll always try to make that distinction, as you see. But I find myself much less reluctant to accuse Darrick Minner and his team of a much more serious crime here. I don't know if judges getting bad decisions is a crime. But anyway, I'm much less reluctant to accuse them of fixing this fight here because I'm very sure it happened. Doesn't matter what comes of this investigation, which it is under investigation. Doesn't matter what statements come forward or whatever. If he's totally exonerated in the public's eye, I will go to my grave thinking Darrick Minner threw this fight. And I really hope I'm not thinking about this shit on my deathbed. But anyway, I'm thinking about it now, and I think he threw the fight. There are a few different factors that lead me to believe this. A, the way the fight looked. B, his coach is James Krause. And C, the betting lines changed drastically, which they never do. They always change, but they never change drastically and suddenly. You know, I should say drastically and suddenly, because that's really what it is. Lines can change drastically, but not suddenly. And that's what happened here, and it is very indicative of corruption. At the very best, it is insider knowledge and some horse shit, but I don't know. I don't buy that for a second. You know, I do think Minner was injured with his knee, or I think there's a good chance it was, even though I'm questioning his character and his team's character, and I don't believe them. I think they're liars and cheaters and whatever. I still believe he may have had a knee injury. But regardless, you know, at the very best, that was, I mean, even with a knee injury, it was still a dive, in my opinion. It was still a dive, and I'm very sure that Minner, Krause, James Krause, and a bunch of people in their circle made money off of Shailon winning via round one knockout, which when I talked about the betting lines, that is one of the lines that changed drastically. I don't have the numbers, but I know it changed drastically, and that is way off. There are, you know, with no injuries, there are only a few different ways to break down the fight, and I'd hate to sound like an arrogant asshole, but the way I broke it down is the way it should have been broken down. Broadly speaking, whether you get the submission knockout end of things wrong, round 1 Minner, round 2 Shailon, round 3 Shailon. That's how the fight breaks down. Most of Darrick Minner's fights. And almost always you bet on the under. Which the under is one line that I wasn't suspicious of its change. It went from minus 125 early, where I was advising everybody to bet on that. And then it got down to minus 180 fight night. That wasn't suspicious at all. But the prop bets were incredibly suspicious. And of course, I found them a little suspicious, but I did not listen to my suspicions. I just doubled down on Darrick Minner via submission round 1 like a jerk off, and I lost $100. You can only bet $100 on the prop bets, but still, I was very excited to bet on Minner via submission round 1 at plus 500 or plus 550, and then come fight night or the hour of the fight, it was plus 900. So I maxed out on that, and it hurt me. You know, I lost $100 there, even though I still ended up winning money because I bet so heavily on the under when it was set at minus 125. I still feel a little ripped off here. And again, the under only hit because I believe Darrick Minner threw the fight, but I still think it would have hit anyway if he was trying his hardest, you know, win or lose. But regardless, the lines changed drastically. That was incredibly suspicious. I mean, they never change like that. And I think the last time they did change like that, there was an investigation, and I believe there was some fight fixing or some horse shit between Kuntz and Bang. I know Kuntz and Bang. Fucking Kuntz. Kuntz. Fought a guy named Bang like 5 years ago or something in the UFC, and I'm pretty sure that was there was some horseshit there where the lines changed drastically, like they did here. Darrick Minner was a plus 165, plus 175 underdog, and I jumped on that. And then by fight night, he was plus 220, 250, I don't fucking know. But I was betting on that as well. And That just didn't make sense. Of course, I didn't listen to my senses or suspicion, like I said. But the one thing that really didn't make sense was what happened. Darrick Minner getting finished is not an anomaly. In fact, it's the consistency. It's how he loses. But for him to lose via round one knockout, it's never happened before. And Shailon Nurbandeke, even though the majority of his wins come via TKO knockout, it's not even the overwhelming majority. And at the UFC level, he hasn't produced a finish. So I think there was absolutely suspicion with round one knockout for Shailon Nurbandeke being hammered. Absolutely suspicious. Incredible red flag. And that, all that, and plus the coach, James Krause, and then you look at the way the fight played out, I'll never be convinced of otherwise. Darrick Minner threw the kick, which I don't even know if it was a body kick or a leg kick. I think it like hit his hip. I guess it was a body kick. And I thought, oh shit, like he winced. I thought he hurt his foot, especially after looking at the replay. But no, he was holding his knee. It was his knee that was injured. But he resets, plants his feet on the ground, and what does he do? He throws the same kick, even harder. And then he collapses on the ground and does that thing where he shells up and gets TKO'd. I've seen plenty of finishes where a guy is injured. He's not even close to being unconscious and he just shells up. It's a legitimate thing, and it may even been a legitimate injury, but it wasn't a legitimate fight. At the very best, Minner threw that kick, those kicks, knowing, hey, this will look good for the injury. I can wince. This might even hurt because I am injured. And then I'll just go down and shell up. And at the very worst, it was Minner going, yeah, fuck this. I'm not even injured, but I can feign an injury. And then I just got to crumble, shell up, and cash in. Those are the only two options that make sense to me in my mind. I mean, for Darrick Minner to be fighting like that is for him to, anybody to get injured like that, you could just look at the numbers. I don't have the numbers here, but I'm sure it's a lot closer to 1% than it is even 10%. Way low for a fight to end like that with a sudden injury. That combined with the way below 1% for fights to change that drastically. I mean, that is, I don't know the odds, but it's probably not even 1,000th for a fight to change that drastically, odds-wise. And that combined with the fact that his coach is the one coach in the realm of MMA who is a known gambler and has his own betting website, hooking people up and all that horse shit. You know, he's got some little subscription thing. Speaking of which, like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Thank you very much. But all that combined leads me to believe Darrick Minner took a dive here. I will never be convinced of otherwise. Injury, legitimate, injury, illegitimate, whatever. It was bullshit. And as much as I wanted to see Darrick Minner stick around and I felt bad for him after the injury, no. After retrospect, I want him cut. I want them sued. I want James Krause. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want to piss on the ashes. Whatever. That was some untouchable shit there. But anyway, I do think there was absolutely some criminal shit going on. I hope the investigation finds something here. I don't know how they will. But, yeah. I want heads on a fucking spike. What do you want from me? All right, thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. And I hope there's no more of this bullshit moving forward.